Hey up, Mr. Josh here, back again with another listening and understanding video for you. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to click the link under this video. That will take you to my website. There you can download a question sheet. Under the title you'll see a link to YouTube. Watch that video as many times as you like, answer the questions, then come back here to find out how many questions you got right or wrong. So here we are again. If you're new to this channel, where have you been? You should subscribe, click the little subscribe thing. And if you get some useful information out of this, you should also like, because I need the attention. I'm a very needy person. So in this video, we see James Corden, who is a British comedy actor and writer, famous for a series called Gavin and Stacey, which you might not know, but you should go and look it up. Nowadays, he lives in America and is a famous late night talk show host, which is unusual, because the Brits, generally speaking, don't go down very well in America. I don't know what it is, they just don't like us. But so what, we don't like them. Ha! And in this little episode, he's doing a feature called Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts. And it features Steve Tyler from Aerosmith. And if you don't know who Aerosmith is, then yeah, just Google it. Probably the song that they are most famous for in recent years was the one from, what was that film? Armageddon? I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, or whatever it is. But Aerosmith dates all the way back to the 70s. They've been going a really long time. And if you look at Steve Tyler's face, you can see it written all over his face. Anyhow, let's get into this. Spill your guts or fill your guts with Steve Tyler. Question number 1. The show starts with James Corden showing all the revolting foods on the table. Which is the only food that has the name of a city in its title? Well, that would be Vienna Sausage Juice. And as we all know, Vienna is a place in... Google it. If you don't know, just Google it. But you'll find it's in Europe. Question number 2. What has Steven Tyler brought with him to the table for this fantastic feast? Well, Steven has brought his own knife and fork and salt and pepper shaker, or condiments as we sometimes call them in English. So clearly he was properly prepared for this, because I watched quite a few episodes of this and no one else decided to bring their own gear. Question number 3. James reads the first question for Steven. What is the rock star's life all about according to the question? So basically it's excess. And if you're wondering what excess is, an excess of something is just too much of it. So like if you have an excess of alcohol, you will fall flat on your face eventually. Don't ask me how I know. But certainly for Steven Tyler and the lead guitarist, whose name escapes me, but they were known as the Toxic Twins, they basically had an excess of alcohol and drugs in their system all the time they were performing. And there are a lot of stories about some of the very strange things that they did, both on stage and off. Question number 4. Steven admits to spending about $2 million on drugs. Which country does he say he snorted half of? Well, that would be Peru, which is a country quite famous for the manufacture of drugs, although I'd say Colombia is also right up there. So yeah, it was Peru. Question number 5. Because he gave a true answer to his question, Steven does not have to perform his forfeit. What is a forfeit? So this is a green question, which basically means it's not answered in the video. It's something you need to either understand or Google. But in this case, a forfeit is like a penalty. So because he answered the question, he avoided the penalty of having to eat the disgusting food. And sorry if you can hear music, that is the dance school starting up yet again. I really need to move somewhere quiet. Does anyone know anywhere quiet where I could live? Send me an email if you do. Question number 6. Steven selects a food for James. What does James say when he has a sniff of it? Well, basically he has a sniff and goes, "Huh, that's no joke." So someone asked me, what does it mean to say that's not a joke? And the British, we have a way of saying things back to front, so to speak. So instead of saying that something is horrible or something is bad or something is terrible, we would say, "Huh, that's not a joke." Or if you asked me to do something that I don't want to do, like if you said to me, "Let's get married," I would say to you, "Ha ha, you must be joking. No way, no how." Question number 7. James has to reveal how much he was recently paid to do a private Carpool karaoke session or perform his forfeit. How much was he paid? Well, basically we don't find out. He decides to do the forfeit. because as he says, there's no way that anyone's ever going to find out how much he got paid for doing that private session. I'm guessing he was paid quite a lot of money, probably in the hundreds of thousands, but I guess it's a secret between him, his accountant, and the Inland Revenue. Question number 8. After James sampled some Vienna Sausage Juice, Steven says, "He just really hurled." What does it mean in this example? So again, this is another green question. It's something that you actually need to understand or Google. Although the couple of people that did this question sheet privately with me got this answer wrong because Google Translate comes up with the wrong answer. So basically, as if the Americans say to hurl, what they mean is to vomit, throw up, as we say in English. To hurl something in the literal sense means to pick something up and throw it with huge gusto and enthusiasm. But in this example, he means to vomit, or as we say in England, to throw up, or barking up your ring, or one of many other little phrases that we have for vomiting. Question number 9. What is the name of the rock group that Steven sings for? Told you that already. It's Aerosmith. Google it if you don't know who they are. Question number 10. How must Steven rank the other members of the group? So he's asked to rank the other members of the group in order of talent, or basically how good they are, what contribution they give to the band. Question 11. Steven decides to eat the cow's intestines. What reason does he give for not answering the question? Well, as he said, he's got to go on tour with them. And if you've ever been on a tour, basically you are stuck with each other for the length of that tour. And say the tour is a year, yeah, that's a long time to hold one argument. Question 12. What is the question that Steven next asks James as part of the game? So the answer is, has any guest ever been so annoyed that they've walked off the show? And that is walked off the show, not went off the show. Walk as in walking, okay? Right, moving on. Question 13. The incident in question was related to the anniversary of a famous film. What was the film? Well, the film was Back to the Future, and please tell me that you do know that film, because there are tribes as yet untouched by man in South America that have heard of the film. Question 14. The plan was to do a special edition of James Corden's Carpool Karaoke. Where were they going to do it? Well, they were going to film it inside a DeLorean, and a DeLorean is the car that was used in Back to the Future. If you don't know what a DeLorean is, it's a very weird car. It has gull-wing doors, that's doors that open upwards, and all of them were made of stainless steel, and it's very rare to see one with paint because it didn't need it. It was made of stainless steel, so it would never rust. But although it seemed like a good idea at the time, the company went bust, and now they're very expensive collector cars. So if you ever see a DeLorean going cheap, buy it. Question 15. Who was the famous singer that walked out of the studio on seeing the set list for the show? Well, that singer was Canadian rock star Bryan Adams. Also, very big name. If you don't know who he is, Google it. Question 16. James says that Bryan Adams just bolted. What does it mean to bolt in this example? So this is another question that's green, and you basically either need to Google it or know it. But in this example, to bolt basically means to run away from some kind of danger. But you might have heard of the expression to bolt a door, and that is something completely different. Bolts is what we used to use in the old days before we had locks and keys. You might have heard of the English expression to bolt the stable door after the horse has bolted. Think about it. Get back to me when you figured it out. Question 17. James asked Steven if he's ever hit on one of his daughter's friends. What does it mean to hit on someone? Again, this is another green question which you would need to Google if you don't know it, but basically to hit on someone is to try and get with them romantically. So basically what in England we call chatting up. Question 18. What does Steven drop on his plate after hearing his final question of the game from James? Well, the thing that he drops, dink, was a dried caterpillar, because he's going to answer the question, so he doesn't need to eat it. Question 19. Who was the host of the party where Steven tried to hit on one of his daughter's friends? So the host of the party was Stella McCartney, famous daughter of famous singer Paul McCartney. And if you're thinking to yourself, Paul McCartney, why do I know that name? He was in this little group called the Beatles. You might have heard of it. 4 guys from Liverpool. And finally, question 20. Who was the famous actress that Steven tried to hit on? Well, that was the very famous American actress Cameron Diaz, who you probably know as soon as you see her picture. So there we go, end of another video. I hope you got some useful information out of this. And if nothing else, you had a bit of a chuckle. And think about this. Next time you have a party, you could do this for yourself. Be careful with what you use for the foods, mind. You know, you don't want to kill anyone. Or maybe you do. Well, that's your choice. But it's nothing to do with me, okay? So, I'm going to go and edit this video. As I said, if you haven't subscribed, you should subscribe. And watch a playlist or something. And don't forget, like, because I need the attention. Anyways, I'm going to go, so bye for now.